the Living Inside Out podcast, and I'm your host, Toks. Welcome to episode 100. Yay! All the drums, the trumpets, everything. We made it to 100. I'm so excited. And I cannot think of a better way to mark this episode than to mark it with Suzy. As we discuss part 2 of our lessons from 2023.
Yay! Hold tight. One of the most important lessons that I've learned, I mean, this one was life-shaking, life-changing.
Let's hear it. We want to hear that one. Yes.
Is to... Okay, I have this saying that I put on my status sometimes, and it says, I listen very closely with my eyes. Yeah? I listen very closely with my eyes, because people talk a lot, but it's their actions that I look at now.
Right.
Do you understand? Because talk is cheap, and that's the honest truth. But actions take effort.
Right.
And I have spent so many years investing, loving, following people who do not show up for me, who have not shown up for me. And if only I had watched their actions all of these years.
They were telling you.
They were telling me all along.
Yeah. They were
telling me
at you
that I was not important, and this is not me being bitter.
No,
this is actually me just, I'm so at peace, and I'm happy that I have learned this lesson so that I don't continue to make it.
Right.
Is when somebody doesn't wake up and do the things they need to do for you, when somebody doesn't show up for you, when somebody doesn't follow through on what they say they're going to do, they're telling you.
Yeah, they're shouting at you.
They might tell you they're going to do all of these things, but they are not doing it. Just yourself. Adjust yourself. Move accordingly. Because it's such an expensive lesson.
Right.
It can shave, you can lose years of effort on people who, frankly, don't need to be there. And that is why I am so big on knowing your tribe. That is why I'm so big on handpicking your tribe, making sure that your tribe are your people. It doesn't have to be blood, it doesn't have to be new, it doesn't have to be old. You just need to make sure that at any one time, the people in your tribe deserve to be in your tribe, and if they don't, they can go as well. And don't feel bad about it, don't feel guilty, because I feel like if you're in my tribe, I need to deserve to be. I need to be entitled. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need to do what I need to do to stay. You don't get to come and then let me down and you stay.
Right.
And I know it's a hard task, but when it comes to my close-knit family and friends, I feel like I show up and I don't expect anything less.
Right.
Because in that, there is protection.
Yes.
Having people who are loyal to you, who will stand for you, not just say it, but they actually do it. And I think for me now, that's very important. Over the years, I've heard people talk about loyalty and how important loyalty was to them. And to be honest with you, I never really got it. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've really understood why loyalty is so important. Because I think a lot of us just take it for granted.
We do. And
but
if
for
you've never
me
been
now, it's very important.
If you haven't had that experience of
Yeah.
betrayal, or you didn't grow up in a space where that was talked about a lot, it's very easy to take people for granted.
And there are families in the world, we won't mention them, but there are certain key families in the world that if you're not loyal, there's a big price to pay.
Yeah.
And I think
The mafia. Is that who you were scared of saying?
so,
We don't want them coming for us.
don't come for us,
We're only
please.
joking.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna bang. I'm not even going to jokingly mention.
No, but there are families in the world that loyalty is very important.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot at stake, and I don't think that I think because we feel we just live in a world where we don't think there's a lot at stake, but there is a lot at stake because it's not just about money or power or whatever, but it's trust, it's your emotions,
Right.
it's confidant, it's just
Reputation, even.
reputation,
It's a
all of
lot.
those things are a lot at stake. So for me, I'm not going to just sit there and your actions will reflect badly on me. I'm going to stand up and do what's right for me. Do you understand? And just to be loyal to righteousness, I think that's important more than anything, to be loyal to what's right. And just to watch what people do and not what they say, because
What's that our favorite
talk is
saying
cheap.
by Maya Angelou?
When people show you who they are,
Believe them.
believe them the first time.
Don't let them tell you twice.
Don't let them tell you twice. I let them tell me 1,000 times and I was still there. So please, I think that's a very important lesson.
That is.
And it just saves a lot of time and effort on people and situations that you really don't need to be investing in.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about mediocrity. I think that it's very important to just wake up and strive for excellence.
Love it.
I have a few alarms on my phone that constantly remind me that excellence is a must. And it just reminds me that whatever I'm doing, and they come on randomly throughout the day, and sometimes, it just reminds me that whatever I've got my hand on, whether it's work, cooking, talking, excellence is a must. And we just need to strive to excellence kills a lot of things.
Right. A lack of excellence.
When you're excellent, people do not see your flaws. Do you know that?
Okay.
When you're excellent, I think there was not a couple of years ago, but Serena, when she was at Wimbledon, she won. And you can see everybody, all tribes, all races, all nations, just clapping for her. And I remember, I think you were saying, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said this thing and it really made me think this is so true. Her excellence broke so many barriers.
Right.
And I have seen that in so many arenas as well, that excellence breaks a lot of barriers. So I think it's very important for us to operate in excellence.
I agree.
Because when you're excellent, it opens so many doors for you, and people will not see your color, your height, or whatever it is they see that discriminates against you, if your product and your output is excellent. So I really think that, especially for young people, that's a really important lesson to learn, that strive for excellence, and with God all things are possible.
That's a good one. And I think excellence also allows you to live fully at peace with yourself. You don't walk through life feeling like I could have done better, and you don't carry the weight of what hasn't been done or what was done, what is flawed. You're not carrying it around with you. So it really does. I absolutely agree with you. Life is interesting. It's such a journey. Very very different for each person. Different seasons of life. Something that the Lord spoke to me recently about is, I was going through my old journal and I came across an entry where I was describing a situation that I was filled with fear in, And I was reading it and I thought, wow, I survived it. I mean, I was so scared when I was writing this, but hey, I survived it. And God said to me, look around you. There is nothing within the walls of this world that can happen to you that you can't handle. And I remember something Aaron said to me when he was quite young. I'm sure Aaron was probably about 15 at the time, or 14 even, when he said this. He says, Mom, God would never have put us in a world that wasn't fit enough for us to live in. And so in essence, anything that comes your way, no matter how unpleasant it is, no matter how difficult it is, you can actually handle it. And I love your final words on excellence, excellence and mediocrity. That time, the times in which we're living in, mediocrity is even celebrated. You know, you see people on social media talking about how, well, they just did this, that, and the other, and they've turned over 7 figures.
Yeah.
And there is no real emphasis being placed on quality of work, or work ethics, or things being done properly. It's all about, oh, just do this, that, and the other, and you can get away with it.
And it's not real. A lot of it is not real. There are people, like the 0.000% who will get lucky and make, be successful. But
then even that, sorry to cut you short, but even that, what is success? Really?
Yeah.
Success is what we're judging them as success, because we're using material means or position.
The outward.
Yeah, the outward, maybe their position in work or what have you. But knowing that there is more that you could have done to have been better, you'll have to live with yourself, know. So,
and that goes back to it being about the journey, because my journey and my success, how I measure success, for me, peace is success.
Right.
Just being at peace is a successful day, not, being rattled and stressed and unhealthy. Healthy success. Me being healthy is success. My daughter being happy is success.
Right.
Things around me being good is success. So we all measure success in a different way, but I feel like we just need to wake up and do better. On my fridge, I just say do better today. On my fridge it just says, I just read
whatever you did yesterday, let's
do better today. So we just need to wake up and do better for the people around us, and just to be a good soldier for Christ, a good example. And just let people see Christ in us.
Right.
That's important. There's no point in us saying we're Christians and people don't see a reflection of Christ in us.
Absolutely.
So we will fall, we will stumble, but we get up and we try and live a better day.
Amazing. One of my current lessons, I always go with the most powerful lesson, but this one has just got me walking on air, and I've got to give you a background to it. So again, and I don't know if I said thank you for listening, if you are listening for the first time, I really appreciate you being here. So if you've been listening to the podcast or watching any of my videos, you will know that I've been talking about circumstances. So episodes 97, 98 were about the neutrality of circumstances, which is that circumstances are neither good nor bad, they just exist. My analogy for that is, if you've got 2 farmers in 2 different parts of the world. Country A is dry and arid and the ground is hard. Country 2, I'm going to use Nigeria for that one, is lush and green and the ground is soft and they've got nice vegetation and so on. Both farmers wake up in the morning to go to the farm. The one who has the hard ground, what do you think his response is going to be when he starts digging and he finds the ground to be hard?
Demotivated, discouraged.
Okay, let me rephrase that. He's grown up on this land.
Okay.
He's grown up on this land. This is the country is known for its dry ground.
Okay, so that's his norm.
That's his norm. He's not going to say, oh my goodness, this ground is hard. That's his circumstance.
Yeah.
The other one who has the lush one,
that's his norm.
The Muiwa in Lagos, Ogun State. He's not going to say, oh, the ground is so nice and soft today.
That's his norm.
That's his circumstance. So I see circumstance as the ground on which you stand, and it's neither good nor bad. You're not going to say that the ground that's dry is bad ground.
No.
He's not going to think that there's anything wrong with his ground, because
that's what
it's
he's
just
got.
that's what he's got. That's what he has to work with. Okay, so I understood, and funny enough, it's a lesson I learned many years ago, but I was not really able to articulate it even to myself. I just knew that it was true, but I couldn't articulate it to myself or to anyone else. But recently it's resurfaced, as lessons often do. So circumstances are neither good nor bad, they just exist. Now, to give you, and what makes it good or bad, by the way, is our perspective.
Yeah.
So, it's our thoughts about it.
100%.
So if now the guy in the arid region hears on the news or the internet and starts seeing farmers digging and it's so soft, his thoughts about his land is going to change.
Yeah.
Because he's now going to think of himself as disadvantaged.
Yes.
And any sorrow or disappointment he feels or discouragement is because of the thoughts, not because of the actual circumstance. So I had this long drawn out season of challenges in the business, like just the UK economy has gone haywire. Trading has been difficult, not just for me, but for many of my colleagues in the industry. And I had this long season where I was just in a state, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to handle it. And I kept thinking, and I kept holding on to hope.
Yeah.
And where was my hope coming from? It was coming from the fact that things have been better in the past, and therefore they will get better again. One day, shortly after learning this lesson on circumstances, it just hit me that what if this is my new circumstance? What if I look at the state of affairs today and call it the beginning of the rest of my business journey, as opposed to an obstacle, a dent in the road, a challenge, and all these names I had given it? What if I just say, I'm starting from afresh, and this is what I'm starting with? What if my ground is hard and arid, but I have to learn how to irrigate it, and I have to learn how to make it softer? That gave me such a lease on life.
It can only get better.
Absolutely. And I just I always say this, and I say this on the podcast a lot, and to my coaching clients too. I say that you have everything you need to carry out the task that you want to do. It's all within you. Most of it is within you, some of it will be around you, but it's in your life. You have absolutely everything. So if I'm standing on this new circumstance of dry, arid ground in the United Kingdom in this trading season, I have everything I need to navigate it, and I need to stop looking back. So that really helped me, and the minute I got that, I woke up just with such I just had such freedom, such a lease on life. I felt bad because to my podcast audience, almost every episode was, well, I've been going through some and I'll tell you about it sometime. I did mention that I was going through. I mean, it just became, even I got fed up of hearing my own voice saying that,
Yeah, there's a saying that says comparison is the thief of all joy.
That's it,
And that springs to mind. Because you're and
I was comparing the past to
okay, this is a funny one. When we went into Olga's car. So I have a box standard Audi, and I think my Audi is quite nice. I enjoy it. It's cool.
She picked me up, but we were meeting our friend Olga for dinner, and I got in her car, which I've always been driven around in. I've never had any issues with Suzy's car. Then we get into her car and we're driving, and we go out, we meet our friend,
and we were fine.
And we were
in my car
fine, and we meet our dear friend Olga, who has a super duper car.
Very super duper.
Very super duper. And we get in her car at the end of dinner to just gist and chat, because Suzy and I were coming back together. Olga was going home, and I just said, Suzy, you drive a banger. Your car is a banger.
In fact, when we got back into my car, we were not pleased.
And this is all in jest, right? We're not genuinely upset. But we were like, what on earth is this? The sick must feel so hard.
Compared to where we've come from. But the thing is, we were fine.
We were fine. We didn't know.
Before, we
Yeah.
were fine. But when we came back, we thought,
This car.
something is different here.
It feels so low. Gravity dragging you to the ground.
Oh, that's funny.
But you're right. It's true.
So yeah, comparison. On a serious note, comparison is the thief of all joy. I just lost a major income stream,
Yeah.
and I was saying to Toks this morning that I sat down and I just had to say to myself, this is my new normal, and just get on with it. I can't think about what
What it used
I've
to be.
been getting all along.
Yeah.
I just have to just make it work and just move on. And just be happy and just see this as my baseline now,
Yes,
and work
yeah.
from that.
Yeah.
So it's just really very important that perception
Right. Absolutely.
is huge.
And
in
you know
terms
what
of
it
how you
does
go
as
through
well?
life.
What it does as well is that it helps us become more empathetic with people.
Yeah.
Because when you blame circumstances for your sorrow or joy, or it leads you to measuring circumstances. So you might look at that person
Yeah.
and say, oh, she's got it easy, why is she
Yeah.
so upset? Or he has it easy, he's got all the money in the world, he's
Yeah.
got what have you. And you're unable to feel the pain that they're feeling because you're judging their response and their state of mind with their circumstance. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen people who, when celebrities, for example, might make the mistake of bearing their soul to their audience and
Yeah.
saying about how they've had it really hard, and then you read the comments and it's like, what does she mean she
Yeah,
hasn't
there's no
had? You know, she's
empathy.
got
Yeah.
she's you know. But when you know that it's about perception and it's about your thoughts, what it does for you is when you see somebody who says, I am in a state. You
Yeah.
don't. Your response isn't going to be, "What are you in a state? You should hear my stuff. You should see
Yeah.
what other people are going
Yeah.
through." Your response will be, "I know what it feels like to be in a state."
At this stage in life, especially we're 50 guys, so at this stage in life, most of us have been through one type of trauma or another.
Mm-hmm.
My trauma is different from Toks'
Right.
trauma,
Yeah.
and you know, it goes on. So just because I cannot relate to what your trauma is does not mean that I don't deserve sympathy or empathy or whatever it is.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we have to recognize that, you know, somebody could have $1 million but then they have bad health.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could have bad health, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or not
If-
have people in their lives, and there's a lot. But
people are lonely. You know,
Right.
some people got divorced.
Yeah.
Some people face death. You know, this. You know,
Sickness,
so
there's
many.
so much, and we can't compare. That's the whole idea
We
of seeing
cannot.
circumstances as neutral. Is don't compare one circumstance to the other.
Mm.
Even with us, like, you know, me comparing, because that was something, you know, the thing with us is that we try to make sense of things we don't understand, and then the mind just goes in search for answers and says it's because of this, it's because of that. And one way in which I know in the past I've tried to make sense of things that didn't make sense was to go into my past and say, oh well, but I handled that before, why is this so difficult? But I shouldn't even compare, because
Yeah.
who I am today is not who I was then.
That's right.
You know, I'm completely different. And even when I say, you know, the hardest business season I've had or anything like that, it's only hard for this version of me.
Yeah.
But I've had difficulties in the past which I've grown away from, and this version of me might look at that as child's play.
Yeah.
But I can't rubbish what I went through
No.
then, because I was a different person. And we're constantly in this state of evolution and growth, where you've been talking a lot about comparison. Don't even compare yourself to yourself.
No.
Don't compare your former self to your present self. Thank you so much, Suzy. This has been a blast, as always. And we have to do this more often. If you've got somebody or you want to be a guest on the Living Inside Our podcast, please send an email to pa@toksaruturi.com.
Thank you, Toks. It's been a blast.
It has been a blast, and thank you all for joining us. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and to like and to share, and we will see you next time.